Hello, welcome back to the Real World Garage. So you've bought a new vehicle, and now all you have to do is change oil occasionally and wash it. Is that really all you have to do? Let's talk about it. All right, well, we've got her all shined up, got all the dirt and road grime off. We've had her for a little over a month, and that was her first bath since we brought her home. What I wanted to talk to you about today on the maintenance and care of your new automobile will cover all makes and models. It even covers used vehicles. What I want to talk to you about has to do with paying attention to your vehicle. What is your vehicle trying to tell you? We have, of course, a luxury of having a new vehicle. But what I have yet to do, and what I'm going to do today as I film this video, is I'm going to begin to learn what the automobile sounds like. I've already begun to learn what it feels like, how it drives, how it performs, how it acts. But as things age and as things wear, things change. Okay, you have oil warning lights, you have low tire pressure lights, you have all kinds of other little indicator lights on the vehicle to tell you something is wrong. But you have two very important things on your body that let you know that something may not be quite right, and that is your ears. Because if something begins to sound different, you'll know immediately that maybe you need to check something out, or take it to a mechanic and have it checked out and make sure that it is not something that's fixing to leave you on the side of the road. So, with that said, let's start under the hood. All right, well, we'll start over here on the right-hand side, and we will start, as you can see, you have a brake master cylinder reservoir there, your battery, you have your engine's computer right here, you have your air intake box right here, air intake hose. Okay, now let's take a minute on this side of the vehicle. We talked about what things sound like, and we should also take a visual reference of what things under the hood look like. Okay, as you can see, everything under here is new and it's clean and it's just like it should be. But take and squeeze these little clips, it should lift right up. Well, I say that, make a liar out of me. There it goes. All right, so we can take and squeeze right here, lift that cover off, and get a look at your battery post. Okay, and you can see the negative. You can begin to see if any corrosion is beginning to build up on your post. Okay, that's a visual clue that you need to get something looked at. It pops right back down on there and locks in place. Another visual clue would be your brake fluid level. If it was low, which would indicate two things. Either your brake pads are worn, or potentially you have a brake fluid leak. On a vehicle like this new, very unlikely. But it is a clue that you need to keep an eye on. As we move on across, of course, you have an engine cover. Okay, this engine cover, I'll grab it on the corners. Go around each four corners, and it just pops right off. Nothing to it, and it'll pop back on just as easily. But that will give you a nice visual across the top of your engine. As we move across to the front of the engine, this is the belt drive side of the engine. What I did notice on this Highlander is that you do not have a good clear view of your belt. You get a glimpse of it at your alternator down there, but you really can't see your belt, and it makes it kind of difficult to get a clue as to the condition of your belt, which means you might have to get under the vehicle, remove a couple of splash pans in order to be able to look up and inspect your belt. No big deal, but it's a possibility. But moving over, you can see right here is your coolant overflow reservoir, okay? As long as your level is to the cold mark, nothing is required. And after it is run and you check it if the vehicle is hot, and it is, there should be a hot mark on there. As long as it's in that range, you have nothing to worry about. But if you come out here and this bottle is empty or low, it would be a good idea to look into why you're losing coolant. So now let's go in here and let's crank the vehicle up. That way we can get an idea of what it sounds like running with the hood open. All right, as you can hear, we've got her up and running. It's fairly quiet. You can hear the engine fan, the cooling fan running, because the AC is on in the vehicle, so the fan instantly comes on even when the vehicle hasn't been run. And then you can hear different sounds, which are perfectly normal sounds. You have injector clatter noise, you have whirring sounds from the alternator, you have the various engine sounds that it makes as it's running. But as this engine ages and something wears, something may change. And if you're not accustomed to what it sounds like, you may disregard it as being nothing wrong or that it's normal. But if you've gotten yourself accustomed to listening to what your engine sounds like occasionally, you'll be able to tell instantly if something doesn't quite sound just right. Really quickly, we can go over how to pop this cover back on. You see it has 4 divots in it, and if you look, there are 4 mounting points, and all you have to do is kind of line those back up. It goes right back into place. Nothing to it. All right, well, let's check out the inside now. All right, one of the things we can do when we're trying to analyze and learn what our vehicle sounds like, turn the volume all the way down on your radio. Turn your radio all the way off before you drive it. All right, now that we have the radio turned down, let's take the vehicle out for a drive and start to learn what the vehicle's supposed to sound like when driving. All right, one of the things to keep an eye out for, particularly when your vehicle is new, is any squeaks or rattles or any unusual noises that clunks or anything coming from suspension you get within the first, say, month or month and a half of driving, okay? Because if you're having noises at this point, you really need to carry it back to the dealer and get it checked out. There shouldn't be any squeaks, rattles, or noises for the first part of your warranty period anyway. Last night my wife and I were on our way to dinner, and when we took off, I kept hearing this little noise, and I said to her,
"Do you hear it? It's a funny squeaky sound."
And she didn't really know what I was talking about. She didn't actually hear it, and I kept hearing this noise. I kept saying, "What is that?"
"Do you hear it? It's a funny squeaky sound."
And she kept saying, "I don't hear it." Well, finally I hit a bump large enough, and what it turns out to be was she has a pair of sunglasses in the sunglass case up here, and they were rattling. So I thought that maybe something on the vehicle was rattling around. Turns out it was not, but it's wise to keep an eye out for those kinds of sounds. I don't advise you to take your hands off the steering wheel, because this thing will scream at you if you do. But when you get on a nice straight stretch of road, one of the things you can do as far as getting a feel for the vehicle is to make sure that it tracks straight. And we are on that straight track of road, and I just barely have any contact with the wheel. And the vehicle is going straight and true. You're going to feel for any vibrations, okay? Got the vehicle up to speed. We're doing 45 or 50 miles an hour. Want to see if you have a tire out of balance. There'd be any shimmy in the steering wheel, or you might feel it in your back, in the back of the seat, if you had a rear tire that was shaking. So it's just those little kinds of things that you really should try to focus and pay attention to. Like I've said, you can use your ears to listen for roars and clunks and knocks, but the most important thing I'm trying to get across to you is establish this as a baseline when you first get the vehicle. That way, when something changes, you know something is not quite right, and you need to either check it out yourself, or possibly you need to carry it to your trusted mechanic and have him check it out. This is probably, to me, one of the most crucial pieces of automobile maintenance that you can do. And here's why. The reason why I say that is, if you catch a squeaking belt, you catch a roaring pulley, you catch a roaring wheel bearing, you catch a tire that's out of balance, all of these little bitty things, if you catch them early and correct them early, they prevent a much larger or sizable repair down the road. Many times, if you catch something small early, your damage is not compounded. For instance, say you catch that leaking water pump early, okay? So it doesn't leak all the coolant out while you're driving and you're out and the engine runs hot. Engine runs hot, now it has a blown head gasket or damaged cylinders, and so on and so on and so on. If you got the problem early, you could have corrected it and there have been any further damage. So that's why I say it's important. All right, so there you go. We talked about several things. Getting to know your vehicle requires pretty much all of your senses. Your ears, your eyes, your sense of smell, your sense of feel. Once you've got a feel for the way your vehicle drives, reacts, and handles normally, you'll know if something has changed. So, if you haven't already done so, go down there and hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment. Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you're thinking. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. I do my best to try to get you back an answer as fast as possible. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, both of which are Real World Garage. So, thanks for coming by the Real World Garage today. I hope this has been helpful to you and that you learned something today. That's always our goal with the Real World Garage. Y'all have a good day.